Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. This is my monthly wrap-up for September. September is my birthday month. I turned 31 on the 27th and it was a good time. Had a couple great get-togethers with family and friends. I didn't ask for any books this year. I have so many books already, but I did get through several this month, so let's go ahead and get started. I listened to the audiobook for Crier's War by Nina Varela, narrated by Kim My Guest. This is a YA fantasy that takes place in a world where humans have been subjugated by artificial beings of their own creation called Automai. And you're following a human servant named Ayla, whose family was killed because of the Automai sovereign. And she is driven to get her revenge for this by killing his daughter, Lady Crier. And Crier is engaged to a political schemer and feels things that Automai aren't supposed to feel, and the two of them meet and get involved in brewing conflicts and plans and growing feelings for one another. I really wish that this had been better than it was. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars, maybe 2.5. The very first interaction between Ayla and Crier had to happen the way that it did, or there would literally be no book. But Ayla's actions were just so contrived and stupid. And the romance in this book can hardly be called romance at all. The two of them like barely interact and speak. They're kind of doing their own thing, their own storyline. I didn't really like either of the main characters for different reasons, but the writing was pretty at times. It had some pretty writing, but also wastes words, saying nothing at all, and I feel like the author was like trying to hit a word count basically. The plot was kind of interesting. I liked elements of the world building, which I didn't get enough of personally, and the ending was just whatever, and I definitely don't care enough about the story to finish off the duology. Then I finished The Binding by Bridget Collins, narrated by Carl Prekop, and this is a historical fiction romance with a sprinkle of magic, and it's about a boy named Emmett who has to leave behind his family's farm to become an apprentice binder. And in this world, binders can capture people's literal memories within the pages of books, and then those people completely forget those memories and they're in the book. So books usually contain very tragic or scandalous things that people usually don't want to remember. And one day Emmett finds a book that contains his own memories that he didn't know he had taken away. This was a 3 out of 5. And apparently when this came out, it according to all the reviews, like the negative reviews, it was not marketed as a romance, but it is 2/3 romance, definitely super romance heavy and focused. The magical aspect of binding is present throughout the whole book, especially in the first part. The book is divided into 3 parts, but basically starting at book 2, or part 2, it's the start of a very slow burn romance between Emmett and this rich lordling named Lucian. If you like gay romance between young people, flowery prose, and just a bit of magical realism, then you might really enjoy this one. I didn't particularly mind that this turned into a romance, but honestly, both of the characters were kind of pig-headed and uncommunicative and not super bright in my opinion, so it was a 3 out of 5. You know, it was pretty good. Kind of long though, maybe a little bit too long. And this took me 2 months to finish, but it felt like twice that long, and that is Paradise Lost by John Milton. This is an epic poem from the 1600s that is essentially fan fiction of the Bible, and it tells the story of Satan's fall from heaven and his corruption of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And this is one of the most challenging things I've ever read. The prose is archaic as hell, and I was only able to make real progress in this once I stopped trying to understand it. As weird as that sounds, and my edition has a bunch of notes in the back, like all of this is just notes. So this is the actual poem, and this is all notes and references, and they were helpful, but I had to stop trying to constantly reference them, flipping back and forth all the time, because it was really making this a slog. But once I stopped doing that, just kept reading and not worrying about totally understanding every single word, I did get accustomed to the prose, and I was able to get the gist of things. Like, I'm not a literary academic. Like, if you've seen the other videos on my channel, you know the kind of books that I usually read. Like, I don't have anything super insightful to say about this, or you know, how revolutionary this poem was in historical context. I know that it is kind of considered kind of a masterpiece, and very different for the time. I enjoyed reading about Satan's exploits. Cared less about the God and Adam and Eve parts, to be honest. There's 1600s, there was a bunch of blatant misogyny against Eve and women in general. So, you know, that's a big thumbs down. But there's a scene where everyone turns into snakes, and that was actually genuinely gripping. But so I don't know, I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. I'm very proud of myself for reading this, and it was an interesting experience. These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling, narrated by Kristen DeMercurio, and this is a YA witchy contemporary that takes place in Salem, Massachusetts. And it's about this girl named Hannah who is an elemental witch, meaning that she can control the elements. And after these strange happenings take place, she suspects that there might be a blood witch in town, but her coven doesn't believe her. So she has to reluctantly team up with her ex-girlfriend and fellow witch named Veronica to try and solve this mystery that is getting more and more deadly as time goes on, while also trying to court a cute new girl in town. I had a fun time with this. I'd give it a 3.5, rounding down to 3. My main critique was that Veronica was just insufferable, and the narrator gave her a super annoying and condescending voice, so that was just really not enjoyable to listen to. But if you enjoy bitter and, you know, not over you exes making the main character's life hard, then you'll enjoy this. I found it frustrating and annoying. There's a lot of LGBTQ characters. I liked the romance between Hannah and the new girl. It has a soft magic system, and most of the magic is based around manipulating elements rather than things like casting spells or rituals or things like that. Wow, the sun really came out. Not sure if you could tell on video. Anyway, it was a quick and easy read. It set things up for the sequel. I don't plan to continue this series myself, but I think that others could really like this. And I managed to finish a book right on the very last day of the month of September, and that was Luck in the Shadows by Lynn Flewelling. This is the first book of an adult fantasy series. It opens with this country boy named Alec who is imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, and this charismatic and mysterious man named Saragil, who is on the cover, helps him escape. And Saragil takes him under his wing, teaching him the art of stealth and subterfuge, and they adventure with various allies and have to get to the bottom of a political plot. I really liked this. I gave it 5 stars. The characters are just what made this book. They're all so delightful and funny. I don't know what it was about it, but like, I laughed and smiled while reading this. The characters were just so good. It's pretty heavy on the political intrigue, but there are some action scenes too. And this isn't cozy fantasy like Legends and Lattes style, but this still felt so cozy and comfortable to me. It felt like a classic high fantasy world. There are hints of a future gay romance as well between main characters, and this came out in 1996, and a friend recommended the series. You know, if you're looking for high fantasy with gay characters, and I'm definitely excited to read more. So that's it. I finished a lot of audiobooks in September, and then this chonker, which I'd been chucking away at for a long time, and then a really great high fantasy. So a pretty fair reading month, and I need to just stop apologizing and drawing attention to when I'm late uploading videos. So it's November and I'm just getting this recorded and uploaded. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!